turn this around so you have to look at my face. I really do wish there was something to drink in that coffee cup. I should have gotten it before I got started. This is my third attempt to do a live stream this evening. The first time, apparently my phone is locked. Hi, Chirping Homestead, come back, come back. My phone was locked in, like it wanted me to be horizontal. I don't know why. So I had to jump out of that live stream. Okay, then the second live stream. Hi, I think it's you, huh, Chirping? Are you back? The second live stream I had to end because my microphone, this is my little microphone kit. It's got my two microphones in it. I decided to put one on. Hey, Black Slave Eddie, you're back. Welcome. So I wanted to do a live stream because it's almost midnight here in Tennessee. For the last 2 nights, we were in Nashville, and I was up quite late for me. You've been here before, Eddie. I don't do the whole slave thing, sweetie. So, sorry. And I haven't really been sleeping in, but maybe I was because it was 6:30 Nashville time, which would be 7:30 here at home time, and I usually do wake up around 5:30 to 6. So maybe I was sleeping in. So I'm not really tired yet, even though it's almost midnight. But I was just watching a whole lot of YouTube videos. I watch a lot. I watch way too much YouTube content. Oh, my dog looks so cozy. I'm going to show you my doggie. Let me just turn this around and show you her. She's so cozy. She doesn't like it when I show her on video. I don't know why. She's not a real. She doesn't. It's like when I point the phone at her, she knows what I'm doing and she gets weird. But right now she's fine. Okay, I'm back. The other dog is in the corner over there. Now, on my description of this video, it says I'm looking for my TV remote. I cannot remember where I put it. Here's the story. Oh, my clock is 9 minutes fast. We have a vintage grandfather clock that has decided to be fast, and I've been gone for 3 days. Hey, Simon. Good to see you, Papoon. Good morning where you are. My goodness, it is actually midnight here according to my clock, but it's not quite midnight. It's 11:51 according to my phone. The grandfather clock behind me that's telling me it's midnight, it is, I think it was made in the 1980s, and we got it. God bless you, Eddie. Ramon Martinez, hello. I think, Ramon, that you should not ask a question like that of a woman who is almost 63 years old. Anyway, I've been looking for my remote control because we had to leave town, and we've had a bunch of horrible things going on at the ranch. We have a bear that's killing our goats, and we had a hunter that said he was going to go sit by the goat's body and shoot the bear when it came back. Well, he decided not to show up. So the bear came, grabbed the goat's body, dragged it off somewhere. We have no idea where it is. That was our one chance to get the bear, was Friday night. So now we have to wait for it to come back and try to kill some more of our goats. So my husband is at the ranch tonight. He's in the RV right next to the goat pen. And he's got a shotgun. He's got a rifle or two rifles. He's got a 45. He's got alarms set up around the goat pen. He's got a spotlight, and hopefully he's going to be able to get the bear. If he gets the bear, he will call me, and I just need a sharp enough knife, and I can take care of the bear, get the skin, and do what needs to be done. And it's been a really long time since he and I had to do something like that at night. So hopefully I don't have to do it at night. I would love to do it in the morning. Simon W., I'm doing fairly well considering it's been a very rough week. But I had to hide the remote control, you guys, before we left because my dog, my other dog that I didn't show you, she gets, I don't know if it's separation anxiety or if it's just, she really likes to tear the crap out of my house when I'm gone. So I leave her a box or two, empty boxes that she can tear to pieces. And then she goes around and tries to find other things. Tonight, she tore apart two magazines, a box of Kleenex, and a bag of baby wipes. So that was her thing. And the box, she's not torn the box up since either last night or early this morning. We have cameras in our house now, so I can watch when she's doing things. So earlier tonight, I was at the ranch. We were hiking around looking for the goat's body because we couldn't find it because the bear dragged it off. Excuse me. I'm going to sneeze. I feel better. Anyway, no, Simon, I'm not going to stand up. I'm wearing a sweater and a pair of jeans. That's all. And black socks. Woo, very exciting. Jazz hands. Ha. Anyway, so I was getting these alerts on my phone that there was activity in the house. There was pet activity in the house. And I'm watching my dog just tearing the crap out of these magazines. I didn't know if they were magazines. I didn't know if they were books. I don't know what she'd gotten. I didn't know where she got them. I can't believe she went in the bathroom and pulled the box of Kleenex off the counter. Thankfully, she didn't get the shampoo that was on the counter because it would take me forever if I ever could get the shampoo out of the carpet. Oh, God, what else could she have gotten a hold of? The soap. There's a liquid soap on the counter in there. Um, she went through the trash in the bathroom. Oh, God. She was just bad. The magazines, one of the magazines was kind of a big deal because I hadn't read it yet. It's the IHRA drag racing magazine, and I really wanted to read it. I did not read it yet. So I guess I won't be reading that. Maybe I'll get another one from somewhere. Eddie, I do not work out. Hey, Randy. We raise goats and we raise ducks. Although we don't raise goats anymore because the bear killed our two pregnant goats. I make cheese and I've made ice cream, although I don't make it very often. And we drink goat's milk exclusively when we have a doe that I can milk. And we raise ducks. And yeah, the bear hasn't gone after the ducks, it's gone after the goats, which is just heartbreaking because they're our pets. No, Eddie, I can't do that. I appreciate that that's your name, sweetie, but I can't do that. So she goes through these tantrums. So before we left, I picked up the remote. Here's a remote. Very important. I have no idea what it's to. It's not really important. That was a joke. Here's a remote that's important. This is to the gas fireplace. If she eats this, we're not going to have a gas fireplace this winter. That would suck. So anyway, I'm wondering where the remote is. I'm looking in all of the high places. It's not on the mantle. It's not in the drawer on the table over there. I didn't leave it down where she could get it. So it's not at my level. It's up somewhere. I looked on top of the hutch in the dining room. I looked on the shelf in the kitchen. I looked in our bedroom, in the bathroom. I can't find it. I can't find the remote. And yeah, I called you that at the very beginning, Eddie, sweetie, but I can't do that. That's not something I can say anymore. It's just wrong. It's just very, very wrong. I had an ancestor who was a slave, and I'm not interested in that. So that's what I'm wondering where my remote is. But also, I was just watching Professor of Rock. Do any of you watch Professor of Rock? Do you? Professor of Rock on YouTube. I don't really like to listen to music much, but I do write music, and some of my songs, I've probably written more than 30 songs, but about, well, I've written more than 30 songs, but probably 15 of them have been performed, mostly by other people, not by me. They've been seen by, heard by only a few hundred people probably because I write or used to write for musical stage plays in a small market, but we'd get a few hundred, we'd get around 1,000 people to come see our plays, which was fun. We did that every year for a few years. Um, ugh, YouTube wants me to ask, what is your favorite seat on the couch? Well, I sit at the left side of the couch over there, and there's a pillow that I lean against when I'm watching TV, which I can't watch anymore because I've hidden the remote so well. The dog couldn't find it, and now I can't find it. At least the dog didn't eat it while we were gone. That would be bad. She did eat a battery last week. Hey, Crazy Bell. Nice to see you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for saying hi. So, I was watching Professor of Rock, and he was interviewing Alice Cooper. And Alice Cooper told a story about being somewhere with some guy named Joe. And hey, Crazy Bell, I'm okay. Yeah, it's weird, Randy. You know what I think YouTube does the question thing because they want more interaction in the chat, I guess. It pops up and I think it's somebody in the chat asking me a question. And then I'm like, "Oh, gee, no, that's YouTube asking me to ask you a question." So I sit on the left side unless the cushions start to get a little too lived in, and then I'll sit in the middle for a while, and then I switch the cushions all around so things are evened out because I don't want to just have like one cushion on the couch that's flat. Not that I weigh that much. I wouldn't really flatten it. I only weigh about 120 pounds, but I don't want that one to be super used. Chirping, you made it. Yes, I was live chirping. I was live twice before, and so this is my third time. First time I went live, my phone would not let me record in the portrait mode. It wanted me to go horizontal for landscape mode. And then the second time I started recording, I realized I didn't have my microphone and I didn't want to sound like I was talking to you guys through a whole pile of pillows. You can just call me Mel if you want, Eddie. That would be cool too. You haven't streamed on Shorts, so it's a new concept to me. Yeah, YouTube is, oh, guy, chirping. It is such a bummer. It gets worse though. You know what? We have a guy, he's our pet sitter. We pay him $20 a visit to come to the house 3 times a day and $20 to go to the ranch once a day or twice a day, depending. We pay him $20 every time he comes to one of our properties and does something. He's supposed to come here 3 times a day and let the dogs out. He feeds them twice a day. He lets them out 3 times a day. There's not a lot to do. It's $20 for 15 minutes of his time. Well, he didn't come last night. He came in the evening, but he's supposed to come at night as well, so he didn't. But he said he was going to go to the ranch on Friday because Friday morning is when we found Rosie. We found her body down in I call it a gully, but around here they call it a holler. And she was lying there, and we knew the bear was going to come back for her that night. And I wanted to stay and sit. There's a place to sit behind a tree that fell down. Gosh, I was going to say during Hurricane Helene, but this one fell down more recently during a big windstorm we had. I was going to get in the root, the divot where the roots were, and just, I'd be able to shoot the bear real easily from there. But he said he would come and shoot it. No problem. Friday night, he was going to come and shoot the bear. He never showed up Friday because we've got cameras. We know who's here and who's not here. He was not here Friday night. So I told my husband he never did go to the ranch. And he told us he would go to the ranch that night, and he never did go to the ranch. The bear came and got the goat and dragged it off somewhere in the forest, and we can't find it. So now it's going to come back to the house looking for another goat. Or not to the house. It's going to go to the goat pen looking for another goat. So I've got the 3 boys, Gimo, Patches, Sparky, and I've got Nani. She's the only girl that's left. Yeah, Randy, we lost my 2 pregnant does, got dragged off by a bear. I say 2. We found one body. We haven't found the other one yet, but there's no other explanation for it. It had to have been the bear. So anyway, I'm watching Professor of Rock, And my husband's at the ranch. He's in the motorhome. He's got the windows open. He's got the alarm set up. He's got a spotlight with a switch where he can turn it on. He has to be careful where he shoots because he's got some pretty high powered. He's probably going to use the shotgun if he can. You don't want to shoot our goats, obviously. He wants to shoot the bear. He'd be more accurate and more precise with one of the rifles, but the shotgun can be a pretty darn good tool and it's not going to go to the neighbor property, right? If you're shooting with a 223, it can go pretty far. Or the 45. It can go a long way. They can go really far. I don't think he has the 22 with him. I think he left that here. You don't want a 22 when you're shooting a bear. Anyway, he's there. I'm at the house watching Professor Brock. He's interviewing Alice Cooper. Alice Cooper was talking about a time when he was in some kind of I kind of missed it a little bit what he was talking about, but he was in a place with this guy named Joe. And Joe was this cool guy. And it was some kind of a rehab, I think. But Alice Cooper said they were wearing their white robes. So it might have been like a religious retreat type place. But he was also talking about how everybody in there was absolutely nuts. And I think he wrote a song about it, if not an entire album, about the people that he met in there. Freshwater, I cannot blast rap music, but I did write a rap song. Guy, you just reminded me. I wrote a rap song years ago and I performed it. Oh, I got to be the one that performed it. Did we do that one 2 years in a row? I performed it like 3 times at least, maybe six. If we did it, the play 2 years in a row, I did it 6 times. Oh, that was a fun song. I forgot all about that one. Old White Granny performing a rap song. It was a good one. It was a really good one. Okay, no cussing. It's a church, so it wasn't on the edge or anything like that. So he was talking about this guy named Joe, and Alice was getting, and that's not really his name. I don't know what his name is. That's his stage name. But anyway, I'll call him Alice anyway. He was getting out the next day. So Joe comes over to him and he says, "Hey, you're getting out tomorrow. You're going to be fine." And I'm paraphrasing because kind of my brain went to other places when I'm done with this story. And you guys will know why in a few minutes if I ever get to the point. So Joe's giving him kind of a pep talk. You're going to be fine. You're going to be meeting. No, they didn't have hoods on. It's just, some religious things. They wear white robes, whatever. So he, like at the spa, you put on a white robe. It's probably like it was rich people in drug rehab. It was probably like a spa where they got massages and they sat on a mat and did the home thing and the whole thing, not the KKK thing. So Joe's giving him this pep talk. You're going to be fine. You're going to stay sober. And then Joe says, "And someday I might get out." And Alice is like, "Yeah." And Joe looks at him and says, "And I'm going to kill you." Am I allowed to say that on YouTube? I might be far enough into the video that I can get away with that. They might get mad at me. Although I'm not monetized, so it's not like they can take away monetization, huh? Anyway, this is just a story that Alice Cooper told during this interview on YouTube. And Professor Brock didn't get demonetized for saying it. So that reminded me of a time when I was talking to someone who seemed really normal. And I'll tell you the story. I was a missionary in Mexico. And I wasn't like I lived in Mexico like you think of a missionary. They go, they sell everything they have and they go live in poverty in some country and they live off of donations of kind people. That wasn't me. I was a missionary who went down during spring break. I spent my spring break building houses, doing vacation Bible school with little kids in the slums in Mexican cities, and you know, helping churches, building churches, things like that. Hey, Suda, no, we do. There are some cars there, but my husband is a chaplain for some motorcycle series. But at some of the races, there are cars. In fact, last weekend, he was at Dunn, North Carolina, and it was an IHRA race, and they had some cars there. And then a few weeks ago, I think he was at No Problem Raceway in Louisiana, Belrose, Louisiana, and they had some cars there as well. Okay, I missed that one. There was a question they wanted me to ask. Ah, hi. Hi, Sadu. Suda, I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know how to pronounce your name, and I apologize. So they do Chirping Homestead. People do a lot of stuff on YouTube, and they're fine because they're big names. I'm tiny, but again, I'm not monetized. Although I did watch one of my videos once, and it had ads on it, and that I thought, wait a minute, did they monetize me overnight? Because I get more than enough watch hours that I should have been monetized like 6 months ago, but for some reason they're not counting most of my watch hours. So I'm not monetized. I was monetized 10 years ago, but then I was demonetized when they changed all their rules, which, okay, no big deal. Then I stopped uploading videos for a long, long time. And I just started again, I think in January or February of this year, I started uploading videos again with a goal to do 10 shorts every day, which I did not do yesterday or today. Anyway, so I was a missionary in Mexico. We did things in Tijuana. We did vacation Bible school, and I do speak a minimum amount of Spanish. At this particular one, we were helping a lady that she wasn't a widow, but her husband had left her, and he left her with their either two or three children, I don't remember, in a house that was the wind blew right through it. She had had a stroke. She didn't have a lot of money. He would come home just enough to steal whatever money she was making at her job and then go off and get drunk again. And I mean, it was just a terrible situation. So we put a new roof on her house, and what else? We put walls on the house. I don't remember if we bought her a bed, but like the walls had cracks this big in them. So the wind was blowing through, and she had had a stroke, and one of her eyes didn't close. So when the wind blew through her house, it hurt her eye. She was just the sweetest lady, and really, it was a very sad situation. I think she had three children. She had a daughter and two sons. Anyway, the Muscovies are alive and well, chirping. They just are, I'm surprised, honestly, because the bear could easily grab the two that are out running around, or could just pick up one of the coops and just go in, because the coops are dog kennels. They are no match to a bear at all, especially the one where the one mama is with all the babies. That one could very easily be picked up and just tipped over, and ducks everywhere. Although most of them would get away, but I'm surprised. So one of the things we did when we were in Tijuana one time was we got invited to go to the prison in Tijuana, which at the time was the most notorious prison in the world. And I do not use that as like an exaggeration. It was the most notorious prison in the world. Very soon after, a prison somewhere over in Iraq or Afghanistan was or became the most notorious prison in the world, because that's the one where the Americans were caught being extremely abusive to the prisoners. So that one became the one that the news talked about. But before that, it was the Tijuana prison. And a lady that works there as a missionary in Mexico, she's a Mexican lady. She's a Mexican missionary. She goes into the prison in Tijuana, and she talks to the men. It's a men's prison. So she invited us to come to the prison, and she got permission from the governor of that state. I don't know, Tijuana, I don't know what it's called. The state there. Not Baja. I don't know. Anyway, so we went in, and by we, it was a group of adults. None of the children went with us, thankfully, because we took down groups of high school students. None of the high schoolers came with us. We had a couple of college students, maybe, and then there was probably a group of about 6 or 7 of us that went in. And while we were there, someone got taken out. Someone got taken out. Had nothing to do with us. We didn't know what happened. We had no idea it happened, but there were Americans in the prison when someone got taken out. So that became a big deal. But they took us to the drug rehab part of the prison, which was not a drug rehab. These people were in prison for various crimes, right? If you were in prison for selling something, nose candy or smoke, whatever you were in there for, you could go to the pharmacy in the prison, and buy that very same thing. Like if you were there because of meth, let's say you're a meth addict and you do things because you're on meth. When you're in prison rehabilitating, you can go to the pharmacy and buy meth. That's the Tijuana prison, okay, guys? Not a good place to be. Also, it was just it was like Mad Max Thunderdome inside. We were stepping if you've God, it kind of reminds me of all my chicken coops, the way they're just kind of put together weirdly. It's not a prison. It's a weird group of I don't even want to call them buildings. I don't know. It's just a weird thing where things have just been put together and taken apart, and it's just kind of strange. We stepped over beds and around corners and through these little tiny passageways, and there was really no floor in some places. It was just dirt. And I remember a lot of chain link, which is, it's a prison, so that makes sense. So we go to the drug rehab part, and I gave my testimony. There was a man there to translate for me, which was nice of him. Now, I didn't spend a lot of time in the drug culture, but my family it was my grandparents, then my mother and father's generation, and then me, my brother, my cousins, our generation. And as a teenager, I was introduced to drugs by the generation above me. My dad did not. My dad was not into that. He drank heavily for much of my adolescence, I would say, and early adulthood, but the drugs weren't his thing. But the next generation, I had we had some major nose candy dealers in that level. Um, both my dad and my mom had siblings that were either married to or doing the dealing, like big, lots and lots and lots of big stuff. We had growers when it was illegal to grow it and sell it. And I was introduced to that lifestyle by several members of that generation above me. And I really respected them. I looked up to these people because they were family, and they were the people that raised me, babysat me, and they were introducing me to a life of that stuff. As a 14-year-old, it started at 14, I resisted. I said no. To me, that was something I was not going to do at 14. My brother was doing it when he would have been 16, and he had survived a traumatic brain injury as a 12-year-old, and here these adults in our life were introducing him and encouraging him to do things like that. Anyway, so I told my story, and one of my aunts lived with us for a while. She only dated guys who would supply her with stuff. So she had a chest in her room, and she told me where her stuff was, and she said anytime you and your friends want to, do whatever, it's right here. You just come and get it. So there was that in our house. My dad didn't know any of this. He would have been really, really mad if he had known what was going on. But at 18, I was home alone listening to the radio, and Billy Graham came on because early in the morning, the rock station changed over and they had Billy Graham on the radio. And I'm listening to this guy with this smooth Southern accent, and he's saying all the right things. And it sounded really cool. And I actually became a believer. Let me see. Night Spirit. Your 26-year-old brother annoys you. Oh, I'm sorry he's an alcoholic. That's hard. That's really hard. Yeah, it's a tough one. You gotta hang in there for him. Oh God, that is so hard. Don't enable him. Yeah, but tell him you love him. I love you, but this is not good. I've seen people. I held the hand of a very good friend who died due to his drug and alcohol problems that caused his liver to die. Google what happens to someone who have your brother Google what happens to someone who does that to themselves. If you feel like it, it's pretty creepy. Anyway, so at 18 years old, I prayed and I received Christ and I decided to change my life. And I stopped hanging out with my family. And I believe my aunt had already moved out of the house. She married her next provider, a very big, well known supplier who supplied the nose candy to a woman who was 8 months pregnant. That's how his morals are. Oh. Anyway, yeah, so she married that and moved out of our house when that happened. Anyway, I gave that all up at 18 years old. So I gave that testimony in the Tijuana prison. And after there were maybe two of us who gave testimony because most of the people there had never done anything and I didn't do it a lot. I was not a drug addict. I don't have an addictive personality. I might be addicted to learning. I love learning new stuff, but I'm not addicted to stuff. So, yeah, you really just you know what, you just have to pray for him a lot, chirping. That's a tough one. I was raised by parents who were both alcoholics when did they start drinking heavily regularly? When I was 10, their drinking got out of hand. That's when my brother had his crash and ended up with a brain injury. And that's when my parents fell apart, was when I was 10. Before that, they binge drank. They had these wild parties. It was the 60s. Everybody had wild parties. And then it was the 70s. Everybody had wild parties, at least in my part of California. It's total hippieville there. So after we gave our testimony, whoever, I can't remember who else gave a testimony, but one of the other adults gave a testimony. I was talking to this guy. Now, he was a Mexican American. So he grew up, he was born and raised in the United States, spoke perfect English, as do I. And he was in Tijuana prison because of stuff he was doing in Mexico. He didn't know when he was going to get out. That's another thing in Mexico. They don't tell you when you're going to get out of prison. They don't say, you're going to be in for 14 years. If you do well, you can get 5 years taken off your sentence. If you take these classes, you can get another however many months taken off, and all the things that they do. They don't do that in Mexico. In Mexico, you go to prison, and if they lose your file, you die in prison. If they, if you've got family that's keeping up with you and making sure you're okay, maybe they'll go to the court and they'll say, "Hey, when can we get Jose back? Can we please get him back? We really need him." Maybe they'll let him out. But in this prison, I don't know how anybody could actually get like good behavior because it was a crazy place. It was a crazy place. I will guarantee you there was a guy there, not this one I'm telling you about right now that I'm going to tell you about, but another guy who definitely went to some kind of solitary confinement afterwards for what he tried to do to me as we were trying to leave the prison. Okay. So, anyway, I'm talking to this guy afterwards. He's from Los Angeles. He could have been a gang member. I didn't see any tattoos that said that, but he was wearing a shirt and a pair of pants. So it's possible he didn't have like the throat tattoos, he didn't have any teardrops on his face, but he was probably a gang member. So we had this really nice conversation. I'm going to say he and I talked for probably 15 minutes and we were kind of off to the side. And it wasn't like a banquet room or even like a classroom. It was just a place where four walls happened to have come together in some kind of a weird way. and there were mats on the floor and blankets where people slept, and I don't even know if it was a dirt floor or a concrete floor. It might have been partially concrete. I don't even know, you guys. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. After we finished talking, our group leader, he was probably starting to get nervous. He was this missionary kid, our youth leader, was raised very, very strict in a missionary family in Argentina. And he went to the American school in Central America somewhere. He went to an American school, boarding school. A lot of missionary kids go to boarding school and probably never had a beer. I mean, the guy, hearing my story for the first time in Mexico, he had never heard me talk about it before. I'm sure he died a little bit inside because I had a history, not a big history, but I had a history. And he was probably like, oh my gosh, she's our youth leader. Oh no, no wonder his wife hated me after that. Oh my gosh, she was awful. Anyway, so he said, we got to wrap this up. We've got to go. So the guy that I was talking to says to me, you seem like a really nice lady. And I'm sure you think I'm a really nice guy. But if I get out, that's a big if I get out and I meet you in an alley in LA at night, I'm going to end you. That was the end of our conversation. Oh, wow. Okay. I believe you. Guess who is never going to an alley in Los Angeles at night? Never. I'll never go to an alley. Can you imagine that? That was crazy. So, anyway, when Alice Cooper told his story about Joe, it reminded me of this guy. I wonder if it was the same guy. Could have been Jose. Huh. Anyway, one other thing about the prison in Mexico, the whole family goes there. We were in line waiting to go into the prison. We had to have all of our papers checked, and they had to, they had a list of our names ahead of time, and we had to prove who we were before we could go in. And the lady came out to get us, the missionary from Mexico. She came out to get us and then took us in. There was a little girl there. She was about 7 or 8 years old, and she had her girlfriend there, and they had just gotten finished with school, and she was coming in to stay with her dad because her dad's in prison. So she goes in and lives in the prison at night, and her mom is in the prison. So they've got women with these little fires on the ground in the dirt part. They've got their little cooking fires, and they've got their pans, and they're cooking up the food. The women go out. Some of them go out of the prison and work during the day, and then they come in. They bring in the food, and they cook the food for their husbands or their son. I don't know. And they bring in their kids if they have other kids. And this little girl was there. She had lice crawling in her hair. She was just the sweetest little thing. And she was going in because she was being raised in prison with her dad. Now, she and her mom and her friend, oh, yeah, go off with her and go visit Jose in the prison. That'll be great. I don't know, man. That was crazy. So the whole family really goes to prison when the father goes to prison. The wife is there because you don't get food in prison in Mexico. Nobody feeds you. You have to earn it. You have to have money for it. So the wives would, or the parents or whomever. Now, here in the United States, of course, you've got commissary and people can put money on your account. I don't know exactly what is it called, commissary? I'm not real up on it. Uh, no, chirping. The guards weren't, there was no guard there. No, I mean, he was just being honest. And he wasn't going to hurt me in there. I mean, I guess he could have. He could have shivved me right there. Hadn't really thought about that. We were having such a nice conversation. He was warning me not to be naive. He was warning me. And he might have known he was never getting out of prison because he may have done this to multiple people already, and he just knew he was never getting out of there. It wouldn't be hard to break out of that place, though, now that I think about it. With all the people coming in, well, maybe it would be hard. There were some real wackadoodles in there. Here we have, hospitals for the criminally insane, and then prisons for those who've been determined sane. I mean, they're obviously whacked, right? Some of them, not all of them. Some of them make bad choices. They're not, yeah. But, and some of them are there because they don't deserve it. But some of them are, but they're not completely cuckoo. In Tijuana, the cuckoos were in with the not so cuckoos. Okay. Everybody was in there together. It was all one big happy family of crazy, but nobody feeds you. You got nothing to drink. You've got nothing to eat. You have no medical care. You pay for everything. I don't know who was taking care of this guy. Actually, he was probably doing a little bit of deals on the side. He may have been taking care of people's dirty laundry too. I don't know, man. The guy was a very charismatic person and a psychopath. And a psychopath. No, Eddie, I'm not mad at you at all. Yeah, it is called commissary. I do watch a lot of true crime, so sometimes I get words in my brain. My dad worked at a prison before I was born. I think my brother had been born. He was a baby. Wait a minute, maybe he was at the prison when I was born. I don't remember. He hated it. He hated working at the prison. Oh gosh. It was not his favorite place to be. He ended up buying a or going into gardening with his brother. My dad did. They would mow people's lawns and trim their hedges and plant flowers, and they were the two they my dad and his brother were absolutely gorgeous. They were really good-looking guys. And having them do your yard work when you were this would have been the 1960s. A lot of women stayed home. And so the husband was out working and the gardener would come and do the work. I would say that my dad and my uncle were eye candy for a lot of housewives. And I do know that my dad worked without his shirt on a lot in the summer if it was hot because he had a very good tan from the waist up. When he put on shorts in the summer, it was embarrassing because his legs were so white, but he had a very good tan. So he did work with his shirt off too. That's hilarious. I wonder if they ever got tips. Oh my gosh. So they started doing a gardening business, which was way better. I do not have Netflix chirping. No, I wish I did. No, I actually am okay without Netflix. I'm on Netflix. I'm pretty sure I'm on Netflix. Yeah, I think so. I've done a few TV shows that are on Netflix and I wonder if those movies, a few movies that are on Netflix. I think my mom might have Netflix, but I don't think I don't. And I know my daughters have Netflix, but I don't. Anyway, where was I in this crazy story? Oh, my dad. Then he and his brother bought a nursery that was for sale. And they had a nursery, they still had the landscaping company, and then they had a fence company. So they built fences and decks and patios and things like that. And my dad ran the fence company and the landscaping company, and his brother ran the nursery. No new duck mamas. I have one that is possibly laying eggs under the feed shed. If she is, that's not a good idea because I think we have a skunk that goes there in the winter. I'm hoping she's okay. I want to put her in a coop, actually. I really do. I want to put her in a coop. But I have to be careful where I put her. She's so sweet. She'll get beat up if I put her if I put her in the bachelor apartment, obviously, she's going to get wrecked. If I put her in with the two mamas and the baby girl, they're gonna beat her up pretty bad too. I can't put her in with Tuffy because he's got 6 females in there that would beat her up. I might be able to put her in with the one mama with the 13 babies, and she would just live up on something, and I would make sure she has food and water up there until I've got people getting a hold of me, they wanna buy them, but, they don't pull the trigger. You have a pekin laying under your shed? Oh, no. Hey, Eddie, you're cool. We're good. You can't reach the egg. What about a rake? I've used a rake. I'll get a metal rake and just very carefully She's a pecan. Are their shells as hard as the Muscovy shells? Because the Muscovy shells are crazy thick. I've never had a pecan, so I don't know what their eggs are like. Dang. I've also got these really long sticks I use sometimes. I call them my sticks. They're trimmings from hardwood flooring manufacturer that's around up the road a little ways, and some of them are 12 feet long, and I just sometimes I use those to get under or around things. Uh, yeah, that's what a brat under your shed. She's going to come out with a bunch of babies on one of the coldest days in the winter. You know that. She knows it too. Two rakes. Oh my gosh. Oh, guy. Yeah. Well, my shed is only a tiny thing. It's about, I'll guess it's a 6 by 8. It's just a tiny little shed, but I smell a skunk there every now and then. And I smelled it a lot last winter. So I have a feeling, and I can't imagine where else she could be laying her eggs. She's not in the hay area, which I might take all the hay out, put it in the shed because there's plenty of room for the hay. We only have about 30 bales of hay. And I'm glad you believe in Jesus. Believe in him and follow him. That's the secret. And I mean, even the demons believe in Jesus because they know he's real. I might clean out the hay out of the hay area and put all the goats in there at night. It would be easier to secure that. That way the bear could come and like try to get to him, but then we could pew pew or boom, boom the bear while it's trying to get to the goats. It just we have about maybe 2 days left before that bear comes back and goes shopping again. And I just can't stand the thought of losing another one of my pets. These aren't production. Yes, they have babies. It's been a few years since we bred them and we milk them, and I love the milk and I love the cheese. And I was going, you guess you bumped your head. Oh no. I was going to keep Rosie's babies if she had girls because Rosie's getting up in age. Well, she's gone now and won't be having any more babies. And I want to be able to milk them. So now I'm kind of in the market for for some more. I don't know. I've got to fix this bear problem before I can add any more goats to the herd. Oh gosh. Hmm. I don't like any of this. I don't like it at all. All right, you guys, how long have I been on? 48 minutes. It is 12:30. I've got to I've got to get out of here and go to bed. Hey, Eddie. Chirping, pray for your brother, sweetie. That's really hard. My mom and dad were alcoholics for decades. My dad quit drinking a lot earlier than my mom did. She just went underground with her drinking for a long time and tried to make me think she was sober. And I believed her a lot. And her behavior didn't make any sense to me because I couldn't believe someone could just boldly lie to my face. But she can. She quit drinking 20 years ago, which is good. That was a good thing to do. Anyway, yeah, I've got to get to bed. It's kind of late here, and I might get woken up in a few hours to say I got the bear. Come with, because we've got knives over there. I'm the one that's going to have to skin it and slaughter. As far as the butchering goes, we'll wait till tomorrow. If it happens tonight, we'll wait till daylight tomorrow to butcher. Got to get the saws all out, all that. Oh, guy, what a mess. Messy, messy. Then I have to go buy a roll of butcher paper. I don't even know where to buy butcher paper, probably on Amazon. And I clear out some space in one of the freezers because a bear is big. This bear is big. I don't know how many pounds it is. It could be up to 350. I don't need all of the meat. I did promise a friend I would give him some for his alligator, George. He's got a an 8-foot alligator in his pond in Louisiana, and he feeds it chicken that he buys at the store. And I said, "Oh, I'll be bringing you some bear." I hope I can bring him some bear. Yes, chirping. Thank you so much. Good night. I hope that your pecan, gosh, she's gonna come out from under there with a, is she? Are they fertile eggs? Is she sitting on fertile eggs right now? I had one come out of a goat stall once. I thought she was sitting on about a dozen. She came out with 31 or 32 babies, and they all lived. And she was a great mom. She dug a really deep hole, and they were all really well insulated. And I mean, my gosh, my flock almost doubled that day when she came out. She was such a proud girl. She just came walking out of that stall, and all these little peepers were behind her. It was so cute. Oh my gosh, it was adorable. All right, you guys, God bless you. Have a wonderful night. Thank you for listening to my crazy stories. Thank you for the thumbs up. And it is Sunday night. Hopefully, I will be able to see you tomorrow. And maybe I'll go on a bear hunt tomorrow and I'll take you guys with me. Bye.